Hello, this is Music Tech Help Guy, and welcome to episode 43 of my Logic Pro 10 video tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to talk about the Transposer plugin, which is one of the many new MIDI effects plugins included with Logic 10. The Transposer is a really simple plugin. Basically does two things. It allows you to either parallel transpose here, or you can scale transpose here. Let's start with parallel transposition. Parallel transposition basically just means that you can take all of your MIDI data on the track and shift it up or shift it down any number of semitones. So let's say that the song you've been working on sounds great, the chords are right, the rhythm's right, it's just not in the right key for the singer. What you can do is you can drop a transposer on all of your software instruments and transpose them up, say, 3 semitones or 5 semitones to put the song in a different key. And if you're not really familiar with what semitones are essentially musical half steps. So a musical half step is essentially just one note up or down to the next note. So C to C sharp would be 1 semitone. C to D would be 2 semitones. And semitones are also kind of the derivative of all of our kind of musical intervals. When you hear people talking about major thirds and minor thirds, when they talk about a minor third, they're talking about 3 semitones, like C to D sharp, or well, it'd actually be C to E flat for a minor third, but D sharp and E flat are the same note. C to E, for instance, is a major third, so that's 4 semitones. C to F is 5 semitones, that is a perfect fourth. C to G is 7 semitones, that's a perfect fifth, and so on and so forth. If you're really interested in the kind of the music concepts behind that and understanding scales and intervals and things like that, I recommend you go check out a place like musictheory.net, where they have free online tutorials and quizzes and guides on how to understand scales and chords and things like that. So let's take a listen to what I've got here. It's just a really basic C minor piano idea. Let's say, for instance, that I really like the idea, I want to use it, but my singer needs to sing in a higher key. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to transpose this whole thing up into a higher key. So here's what it sounds like right now. And there you go. So like I said, the most basic function of the transposer is that you can parallel transpose MIDI data. One thing to keep in mind with the transposer is that it doesn't actually move the MIDI data up or down in your piano roll editor. If you really wanted to do that, you could actually just do a Command A to select all. You can hold Option and press up or down to kind of transpose it, or you can do Shift Option up or down, and that'll transpose it up and down by octaves. I want to leave the MIDI data in my piano roll editor alone. I just want it to play back in a different key, and that's what the transposer will do for you. So let's say that my singer needs to be in the key of D sharp or E flat minor, not in the key of C minor. So we're going to need to go up 0, 1, 2, 3 semitones. And when you count up, you always start on 0 on the key that you're on. So if I need to go from C to D sharp, that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to raise this up 3 semitones, and let's see what it sounds like now. And there you go. Another one, so a couple important semitone values to keep in mind, like I was pointing out earlier. 3 would be going up a minor third, 4 would be a major third, 5 would be a perfect fifth, 5 is a perfect fourth, 7 would be a perfect fifth, 8 is going to be a minor sixth, 9 is going to be a major sixth, and another really important one is 12. 12 is up 1 octave. Since there's 12 notes, 12 note names on the piano, if I go up 12 semitones, I'm basically going up to the next C on the piano. So you can transpose a whole track up or down a full octave. And sometimes just, if you want to keep the original key of the song, but maybe one instrument's not coming out in the mix better as well as you want it to, a really simple way to make it come out in the mix is to maybe raise it up an octave or lower it down an octave. If we raise it up an octave, it's going to be a little bit brighter. The frequencies are going to be a little bit, they're going to be double what they were before. And so you end up with something that might cut through the mix a little bit better. Or if you have too much high end, you can maybe try to lower it down 12 semitones, lower it down an octave, and maybe it'll come out in the mix a little bit more. So let me just try this up a full octave, 12 semitones. And obviously, if 12 semitones is an octave, then 24 semitones is 2 octaves. And I can just hold the Option and click on that to set it back to 0. So the other function is that you can scale quantize. So, or not scale quantize, but scale transpose. Although it is very similar to using the scale quantize feature in the piano roll editor, except again, it doesn't actually change the notes in your piano roll editor in your MIDI region. It just transposes the playback. So what you can do with this is you can omit notes, or you can completely change the scale. You can say, instead of C minor like I have here, I want to go to C major, or maybe a klezmer scale, or a modal scale, a mode like Mixolydian or Lydian or something like that. So you can alter the scale, and notes that don't fit the scale will be transposed down. In my experience with this, it almost always, and I think always, transposes notes down. So there is a disadvantage to this that I'll explain in just a moment. But if I want to go from minor to major, in my case, C minor is actually C, D, E flat, or D sharp, F, G, A flat, B flat, and again, A sharp and G sharp are the same thing as B flat and A flat. They're just enharmonic notes. This would be our C minor scale. If we transpose this whole thing to C major, what's going to happen is D sharp is actually, all D sharps are going to end up going down to D. I really wish it would be smart enough to actually transpose them up to E, because that's actually the third in C major, whereas E flat, D sharp, is the third in C minor. So I would like it to transpose up, but it doesn't. It actually transposes down. And the same thing's going to happen for our G sharps and A flats. They're going to actually be transposed down. So let's hear what this sounds like. And it's not bad sounding. There's one weird chord in there, but it just doesn't like if I were if someone were to say, play this in C minor, now play it in C major, that's not how I would have played it. That's not how I would have transposed it. But maybe that's the beauty of the plugin. It creates things that maybe we wouldn't have thought of. Let's try another scale. Let's try a major blues scale. Yeah, that one's a little strange sounding. Let's try harmonic minor. Harmonic minor is the same thing as natural minor. The scale the C minor scale that I drew up here earlier, except that A sharp is going to be altered to B. It basically has a raised seventh in it. So only chords with that had A sharps in them are gonna be changed. So we're getting a few diminished chords that don't quite sound right. Let's try a Japanese scale. Not many notes in this one, only 5 notes. It's probably not gonna sound too good. Now, in all these examples I've been playing, I've basically been going from C minor and trying to alter it to something else. In most cases, this works a lot better if you start in a major key, because a lot of the notes, like the third, the sixth, and the seventh, are all raised. So when you transpose to other keys, those notes will get lowered down to, say, minor or whatever. So I find that starting with a major example usually works better when you're trying to play chords like this and transpose chords. Let's take a look at kind of a more melodic example as opposed to a chordal example. What I've got here is just a kind of a basic 16th note melody that I just kind of step inputted in, and it's all C major. It's all white keys on the keyboard. Let me just turn off the transposer for a moment. There you go. With this, because I'm already starting in major, I'm using all white keys on the piano, just C major. It's going to transpose better than the minor key example I showed you. So let's say, we're starting in C major. Let's say we want to go to C minor. So I'll choose natural minor, and let me turn the transposer on. Let's see what this sounds like now. So it works a lot better for melodic examples than it does for chordal examples. Let's try harmonic minor. Same thing as natural minor, just A sharp is raised to B, or B flat in this case is raised to B. Let's try maybe a klezmer scale. So you can see, it's like I said, it's much more useful for melodic examples than it is for chordal examples. Another thing that you can do with this, I don't have an example for this, but another thing you can do with this is, if you're working with something, you're not even if you don't know what the key is, you can look at if you're trying to kind of match the tonality of two regions together and play them at the same time. One thing you can do is go look at one of them and figure out all the notes that are being used. Type those into the transposer and put that transposer on your second track, and you can kind of key like note limit your second region to only use notes that were contained within the first region. So you're able to kind of make sure that you don't have any dissonant tones that that just don't match the key of the original region. And you really don't even need to understand what chord or what scale or what key you're using. All you have to do is just basically count the notes and then type them into the transposer. All right, so that's Transposer in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks again for watching.